Good afternoon, Mr. President. This is the Special Task Force of the Council of Economic Advisors. We've been working on trying to find a solution to this economic crisis problem. Now, just to get you familiar with the problem, currently our unemployment rate is 12.5%, which is really bad, and we're trying to fix it. Our oil prices have risen a lot. Inflation is up at 9%. Our GDP has dropped 13%. We're experiencing stagflation, which is inflation and deflation. Our national debt is really high, and your approval ratings have decreased by a huge margin.
Fiscal policy, where there's two variations: expansionary, where we lower taxes and increase government spending. The effects are an increase in real gross domestic product, an increase in inflation and debt, and a decrease in unemployment. The other variation is contractionary policy, where there's an increase in taxes, decrease in government spending. The effects are a decrease in real gross domestic product, a decrease in inflation and debt, and increase in unemployment. We have another policy called the monetary policy, where there's also two variations: contractionary, where we increase interest rates and decrease the money supply. The effects are lower price levels, a decrease in real gross domestic product, an increase in unemployment. And the other variation is expansionary policy, where we decrease interest rates, increase the money supply. The effects are higher price levels, an increase in real gross domestic product, and a decrease in unemployment.
Our proposed solution is to use expansionary policies. Specifically, we want to lower taxes and implement the easy money policy, which is to say increasing the money supply. Lowering taxes is going to have a few main effects. First of all, it is going to increase real GDP, because once taxes are lowered, individuals and businesses are both going to have more money available, and consumers are going to spend that money on final goods and services, while firms are going to invest that money on capital stocks such as lands, and these will mean an increase in demand, in prices, and in real GDP, or the output of the economy. The easy money policy, as I already said, is effectively another way of saying we want to increase the money supply, and when money supply increases, that naturally means that interest rates are going to lower, and that makes it easier for businesses to fund their investment spending, which will also in the long run result in an increase in real GDP. The proposed plan has many costs and of course many benefits. The most notable cost is going to be the increase in the federal deficit, but this increase might not be as big as you would expect because of supply-side economics, which state that lower taxes would incentivize people and firms to be more productive, which would in turn increase the tax revenue. Of course, that wouldn't completely offset the decrease in tax revenue, but it is a key factor. Another major concern is going to be increased inflation, which, when combined with lower interest rates, is going to be particularly bad for retired individuals who keep their money in banks. But these factors would be less of a concern if money were instead kept in other places, such as the stock market or portfolios, where nominal interest rates are going to be higher than inflation, particularly if our plan is implemented and the economy improves. I already mentioned some of the benefits of these policies, but I particularly want to mention the increase in real GDP, because that is one of the biggest concerns of our nation. And it's one of the best indicators for how well individuals are doing. And with an increase in real GDP and the lowering of unemployment, we can expect that voters are going to be happier, which will mean an increase in the president's approval rating. And another benefit to take particularly note of is the reduction of stagflation. So stagflation in itself is just high unemployment and low demand for products and lower GDP. And I already mentioned our increase in GDP and lower unemployment, but also it increases demand for goods because individuals are going to have more money to spend, and that when they do spend, it's going to increase demand for goods.
Okay, now that you have seen our plan, please take this economic solution into consideration. It will help you get out of this stagflationary economy, and once the economy gets better, we can work further to translate the economy since our plan does cost you higher inflation and debt for now. But that will be for a later time. Thank you for your time, Mr. President, and we send our regards to the Special Task Force of the Council of Economic Advice. Oh, Mr. President, I'd like your sign of approval.